Well, hello everyone. It's Chef Jazzy John. I hope everyone is well today on this beautiful fall day. So today we're going to be doing a rich, flavorful soup called a bisque. And what a bisque is basically is a thick soup, usually made with pureed seafood, such as shrimp, lobster, crab. You could actually mix them all together. The dish that we're going to be doing today is going to be shrimp and crab. So as usual, let's get right into this great dish. As usual, I'm going to give you all your measurements. So we have 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 2 tablespoons of green onions chopped or diced, 2 tablespoons of celery diced, and then we have 3 tablespoons of flour, and then we have 2½ cups of milk. We have 1/2 teaspoon of fresh cracked black pepper. We have 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. And then I have 8 ounces of heavy whipping cream. I have, you can either use small shrimp, and I only had large, so I kind of chopped them up, but this is 8 ounces, probably a little bit more of shrimp. And then we have 8 ounces of crab meat. This is actually lump crab meat. And then we have 2 tablespoons of sherry, cooking sherry. And then we have 3 tablespoons of parsley. So let's get right into this dish. So added my 3 tablespoons of unsalted melted butter. So we're gonna get that melting and get it started. As that starts, we're gonna add in our 2 tablespoons of chopped green onions, and 2 tablespoons of celery, chopped celery. Now you can always add more if you like, as I always say. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. We got it melting. So then we're gonna just stir this around for about 5 minutes till we get the vegetables soft in the butter. So once the butter has melted, we're gonna do basically like what's called a roux or gravy. Okay, so now the butter has melted, and you guys can see real good. Okay, so now we're gonna add in our 3 tablespoons of flour, and we're gonna just kind of distribute that all through it to make it thick. But you wanna make sure that you get all your lumps out. We don't want it lumpy. So I'm gonna add a little bit more in. You can just do a little bit at a time. Okay, so we're gonna let that continue to cook for a second. And so while that's cooking, we're gonna actually take our 2½ cups of milk and put it into a separate pot. So now we have our milk warmed, and we have our vegetables nice and soft in the butter. So your milk, you don't want it boiling hot, just warm. So I'm gonna actually use a whisk. That's just my preference. So you're gonna pour your milk in slowly. I guess let me do it this way so you guys can see. Pour a little bit in. Just remember your pot is already hot. I'm gonna take my whisk, and we're gonna stir this for about 3 minutes. You see it's starting to thicken, so we're gonna add a little bit more. Okay. We're gonna continue to whisk that in. And you see it's starting to become a nice thick consistency. You guys see? So we're going to continue to stir. You see this is starting to thicken up. We have this on a medium heat. Becomes a nice thick gravy. It's still getting thicker. I turned my heat down for a second. I'm turning my heat back up. We're going to go and add in the last of the milk. Okay, and let our temperature build back up. So what makes this is the bisque is that once this thickens back up, and then we're gonna start adding in our other ingredients, our whipped cream, our heavy whipping cream, and then I'm gonna use what's called an immersion blender, which is basically a blender that I can stick right into my pot. And if you don't have that, you can always use a food processor or a blender, something like that. So as we just gonna keep cooking this. Okay, so while this is thickening, we're gonna add in our black pepper. A half a teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, we're gonna stir that in. And then we're gonna add in our tablespoon of tomato paste. This is more or less a quick version of seafood bisque, because you can't actually use do a longer version where you actually make the stock out of your shrimp shells. But this is a easier, quicker way, and it actually comes out just as tasty. So I'm gonna whisk a little bit more. Make sure it's nice and thick. See, the paste just adds that nice little color to it. Okay, it's a nice thick consistency now. So now we'll be adding in our heavy whipping cream. Like I said, this is actually a pretty quick recipe. So now we're gonna add in our heavy whipping cream. Slowly pour it in. And this is where you get that thick, that richness, rich flavor from your heavy whipping cream. So I'm gonna go on and pour all my whole cup in. So the heavy whipping cream paired in with the flour, with the roux, you have a really nice thick sauce. And as I always tell you guys, if you need more flavor and more seasoning, you always just add more seasoning. So now here comes the tricky part. Not so much tricky part, but the fullness part. So I do have my 8 ounces of shrimp, but what I'm gonna do is, and make sure this is nice and thick. Okay, that's nice consistency now. So I'm gonna put my shrimp in. Okay, so we're gonna put that in. I'm gonna go ahead and put it all in. So you can actually use baby shrimp. And like I said, this is what I had on hand, so this is what I decided to use. So we're gonna stir the shrimp in there. Okay, so now we're gonna add in our crab meat. And I actually have probably a little bit, well, this is a cup, this is 8 ounce. So I'm gonna add in our crab meat. I think I'm gonna add in a little bit more, but I do have some extra. Okay. So now, let me get my other crab meat. And basically, I use some lump crab meat, some canned lump crab meat, because I want this to be really nice and thick and rich. So we're gonna put that in. So now's the time. As you can see, it's nice and thick and creamy. So to make this more of a richer texture, I'm going to take my immersion blender. I'll just put this in here. And what that's going to do is erase some of that seafood, some of the shrimp, some of the crab meat. And you can always add lobster tails to it, lobster to it. Okay, this can get kind of messy. Oh, yep, I'm making a mess. Okay guys, so I have it all ready. I actually just realized I forgot 2 of the ingredients. So we're gonna pour in the sherry. It gives it another rich flavor. And then I have my chopped parsley. So I'm gonna hit it with the immersion blender one more time. Actually, I may not. But I think it's a great consistency right now. I'm gonna hit it with the immersion blender just to kind of chop up the parsley. Ready? So we're gonna just continue to stir your bisque. We're gonna let it cook about maybe 5 minutes. Make sure all your seafood is nice and done. You see, this is a beautiful, beautiful, thick, creamy soup. You'll be able to taste the shrimp, taste the crab meat. This goes very well with just some nice crackers or maybe some little small biscuits or some red lobster. Well, we are back. Our seafood bisque is ready. It is creamy. It is a beautiful color. I actually left mine a little coarse so that you can actually taste the seafood that's in it. So this is a perfect beginning to a wonderful meal, or it can be your whole meal. I just have some regular little saltine crackers with it. I want to make sure you can see the consistency of it. It smells so good. So it is taste time. Let you guys see a little closer. Well, my lighting is not the greatest, but it is wonderful. Okay, you can see better from back here. I just have some simple crackers with it. I just had to make me a few air fryer shrimp real quick. So let's taste. I can taste all the seafood. It's so nice and creamy. It's a wonderful, wonderful taste. You basically don't even need crackers with it. But I just like crackers with my soups and things. You can actually also use some of the garlic Parmesan biscuits. But this is absolutely wonderful. I'm not even gonna eat my cracker right now. I just have another taste. So once again, this is Chef John Seafood Bisque. Please, everyone, try this dish. It really doesn't take as long as it takes me on video because I have to pre-measure everything, but it is a wonderful, wonderful dish. So till next time, have a great one.